Histrionic personality disorder is classified under the DSM-4 Axis II personality disorders. Histrionics are kind of like stage actors. They're dramatic, energetic, and they're always seeking to draw attention to themselves. Now, it wasn't until about 1980 that histrionic personality disorder was officially listed in the DSM. Before then, histrionic personality traits were classified under the category of hysteria, and psychologists in the mid to late 19th century noticed how patients suffering from symptoms of hysteria shared other common features too. They were often selfish, extremely vain, easily excitable, and prone to jealousy, and many of them exhibited sexual promiscuity. Even Freud, when he described symptoms of hysteria in the 1930s, noticed how these personality types were constantly seeking the admiration and love from those around, to the point where for many, their biggest fear was losing affection and approval from others. So later on into the 70s and 80s, psychologists came up with a list of distinguishing traits for histrionic personality types. They found that on first impression, histrionics usually appear charming, sociable, and extroverted. But a closer look reveals that even though they attract many acquaintances, most of their relationships are superficial and short-lived. Histrionics are often preoccupied with gaining approval from others, and because of this, they're often seductive, sexually promiscuous, and manipulative. Psychologists aren't sure exactly what causes histrionic personality disorder, but they think that childhood experiences and heredity may play a role. Most research on histrionics has come about through case studies rather than laboratory experiments. Another personality disorder I want to talk about is narcissistic personality disorder. Now, unlike histrionics, who are dependent on the approval of others, narcissists look toward themselves for reinforcement. The DSM describes the person suffering from narcissistic personality disorder as exhibiting grandiosity, exploitative behaviors toward others, arrogance, and oftentimes a lack of empathy. Back at the end of the 19th century, before narcissism was officially labeled as a personality disorder, a psychologist named Havelock Ellis equated the word narcissism with autoeroticism. And later, when Freud described the term in 1910, he saw it as a healthy phase of psychosexual development preceding object love. He then went on to expand his original statement to include narcissism as part of his libido theory, and he even suggested that maybe relations with parents in early childhood might contribute to narcissistic tendencies, which means basically that children who felt they could not rely on others would avoid getting attached and turn to themselves for nourishment instead. So in the 1970s, the DSM-3 drew up a list of criteria for distinguishing narcissistic personality disorder. And among the symptoms listed were arrogance and an exaggerated self-image, also a lack of conscientiousness for people around, and narcissists typically appeared aloof and had a very cool demeanor. Narcissists also see themselves as being very unique and deserving of special treatment. Kind of like histrionics, they have little tolerance for frustration, but when faced with failure, they often turn to fantasy as a means of escape from reality. So let's briefly review histrionic and narcissistic personality disorder. We know that histrionic personality disorder is an Axis II disorder and has its origins in cases of hysteria. You can think of histrionics again like dramatic stage actors. They're attention-seeking and emotional, very theatrical. They may be dependent on others and are constantly seeking their approval. Narcissists, on the other hand, avoid attachments. They are self-centered, often arrogant, and exploit others without offering anything in return. Unlike histrionics, they don't try hard to win the affection of others. Instead, they see themselves as being very special and operate under the assumption that others will feel the same way.